your Kamala Harris astrology report today. So many of you asked me to do this reading, and I am so excited to unpack this. Kamala Harris says she is ready to serve if anything should happen to President Joe Biden. And I am curious how many of you think something could potentially happen to Joe Biden if he is elected for the next 4 years. I mean, really, tomorrow is promised to no one. Maybe even something could happen to him before the election. She could become our president at any time if anything were to happen to President Joe Biden. And Kamala Harris was born on a new moon, and she was born for a new era. She's really good at ushering in these new beginnings, this new way forward, the new paradigm that we're coming into. And this week, the Sun, Mercury, and Venus, all a stellium of planets in Gemini, have just crossed Kamala Harris's Gemini Ascendant, her Gemini rising, where she also has her Gemini North Node. She has a North Node conjunct Ascendant in Gemini. Very powerful. This is somebody who will become a powerful leader, and she already is as VP. And I knew this week it was time to read Kamala Harris's astrology chart. And it was so funny and intuitive that as I was beginning to read this chart and I was getting really excited about, like, oh my gosh, she really could become our first female president of the United States of America. All these Reiki students and some of my Reiki clients were texting me to say, do you think Kamala Harris could become the president if they get elected and something happens to Joe Biden? It really seems like that could happen. It was like, it was in the ethers this week. And there was just a lot of people talking about it. So it's like we are feeling that she is destined to become our first female president. And can you feel that too? I don't know. I think this is how women rise to power. Of course, we couldn't elect a female president, but a female president could get the job done. And so often in so many different professions, men will get jobs that women are probably better qualified for, but it's always the women who end up doing all the work. But that's another story. Today, I am going to unpack her most powerful personal planet transits, like what's going on with Jupiter and Venus. I've been saying for a while now that I believe that Venus will be really bringing us a female leader, a female president. Pluto, Uranus, and Saturn. These are the planets you want to look at when you're looking at an astrology chart for a presidential election. And these are the planets that show you if she is ready to lead us forward into this brave new world. And I would say, after looking at her chart for several hours, she absolutely is. She is an incredible force of nature. She is a spiritual leader rising, and there's some incredible fortunate transits supporting her and empowering Kamala to become one of our world's greatest leaders of all time. I have found great hope in doing Kamala Harris's astrology chart, and I haven't felt this kind of hope in a really long time. So I want to share that hope for you as well. And if you don't know, Kamala Harris is currently our one and only first African American and first South Asian American woman to become vice president. And that is some really big shoes she's already stepped into. And she is so humble in her service as VP. We don't really hear that much about Kamala, but she's doing a lot of good work behind the scenes. And I just don't feel like we know enough about her. She was born to a Tamil Indian mother, Kamala Harris, and a Jamaican father, Donald Harris. And her mother was this incredibly prominent breast cancer researcher, scientist, who immigrated from India in the 60s. And that is so amazing that she came to this country, and they're from the Bay Area, California, Oakland. She grew up in Oakland, California. And her mother put herself through college and became this incredible researcher and scientist. And then her father is a Stanford University economics professor who also is immigrated from Jamaica, and he studied in Berkeley in the 60s. So they are, I'm a Bay Area girl myself. I came from San Jose, California, and I spent a lot of time, I have a lot of family in Oakland and roots in Berkeley and California. And so that is a very progressive area of highly intelligent people who live in the Bay Area. And Kamala is a well-educated lawyer in her own right, and she sat on the Senate, and she is married to an attorney, Douglas Emhoff, for over a decade now. Real true love. And her background is just so respectable, educated, and stable. And that just felt so refreshing to read about her background. And jumping right into her astrological planets, you can look in her chart and see that her Jupiter is in Taurus in the 12th house. And Jupiter has been hanging around Taurus for the whole last year and a half. As so many of you know, if you watch my channel regularly, I've been talking about Jupiter and Taurus, shining that lucky star for all things Taurus for the last year and a half. If you are a Taurus, I hope you got lucky because that was your time. And for Kamala Harris, this has been a Jupiter return. When Jupiter returns to the place it is located in your chart, this is when Jupiter, the king, brings you opportunities for greater wealth and power and expansion. And as I read Kamala's chart, there is this really regal, royal power. She is a queen incarnate. She has such royal stature that she imbues, and she has led people before in past lives. I am almost sure of it. And Jupiter in the 12th house. This represents a truly spiritual leader. 12th house is normally ruled by Pisces, one of the most spiritual, mystical, magical signs that we have. And 12th house rules over spirituality, religion, enlightenment, faith. 12th house is where God resides. 12th house is where you go to connect to source, to connect to a higher power. 12th house is as if God is blessing her with the right to rule by having this Jupiter return to her 12th house. Jupiter empowered by the ultimate king who is God. And ultimately, 12th house rules over our collective salvation. And I don't mean to sound religious because I'm truly not. I'm a Reformed Catholic myself. But could Kamala Harris be the chosen one to truly save us all? Will she bring this collective spiritual awakening that is being ushered in by this powerful dragon year that we're in? We're in that rare wood dragon year, as I covered in the 9-star key astrology. And this is a time for collective spiritual awakening. And Kamala Harris really aligns with that to raise our world up into a state of peace, love, and unity. I do believe Kamala Harris, with that 12th house Jupiter in Taurus, she may be the leader that we've truly been waiting for to usher in this brand new 5th dimensional age of Aquarius, where things finally get better for everyone. Fingers crossed. I was really inspired by her Jupiter 12th house. And Jupiter will be at 20, transiting Jupiter will be at 20 degrees of Gemini on the election. I'm working on my election astrology reading as well. And on the election day, Jupiter, 20 degrees of Gemini, will cross so closely to Kamala Harris's Gemini Ascendant, Gemini rising, and North Node conjunction, which is at 24 degrees of Gemini. I'll put the chart up so that you can see where Jupiter crosses and her Ascendant and her North Node. And whenever somebody has an Ascendant North Node conjunction, this is a person who will come into great power. And Jupiter will really expand her reach on this election day. This is an incredibly fortunate transit that will bring opportunities to rise into great power, great abundance, and ultimately Jupiter is the planet of winning. This is a big win for Kamala Harris. So I'm feeling pretty optimistic that Biden and Kamala are going to take this when I saw Jupiter crossing her Ascendant and her North Node. And Jupiter is the great benefic planet. Jupiter is always supporting your goals and supporting your aspirations. And crossing over her Ascendant, Kamala is like a lucky charm for this Biden presidency. And on election day, she secures her position as VP, possibly ensuring that she will indeed become our first female president someday. I don't know when, I don't know how. I just do believe that she will rise to become president. Maybe it's after these 4 years, and then she goes into her own campaign to become the first female president, or maybe it happens even sooner. And this North Node conjunct Ascendant in Gemini is always a person who is going to become profoundly great leader. And in Gemini, this makes her an exceptional communicator, negotiator, mediator. She's got that Gemini, that mercurial mind that just has all of the answers. I can't wait to see Kamala Harris debate. And transiting Uranus in Taurus at 24 degrees has been in an exact conjunction with her Jupiter in that 12th house. This represents spiritual breakthroughs and quantum leaps where everything can just shift in a moment's notice. And we all collectively had a Jupiter-Uranus conjunction that happened in April. And now Kamala Harris has this similar Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in her own chart that will really last all year, saying anything can happen for her. And this tells me that she's really in touch with these times we're living in, and she is aligned to the unexpected changes we are having with whether it be our weather. So much change is expanded. That's Uranus brings change, and Jupiter expands. And she would be the right person to handle our every weather condition that is brought on by this Uranus and Taurus transit we've been under for quite a while. And Taurus, of course, also rules over the second house, rules over our resources, wealth, abundance, economy. And so she would bring great abundance. She could fix our economy in ways that would really serve all of us, the collective. And it would bring in this golden era of huge economic growth if she was in power. Under Kamala's ruling, she would bring power to the people who were ordinary working class people like teachers and nurses could finally rise to prosperity and be able to support their families and make a living and buy a house. I see so much economic growth with Kamala Harris in charge. And let's just read the Sabian symbol for Kamala Harris for her Taurus-Uranus conjunction that will really be impacting her for all of 2024 going right into 2025. And Taurus at 25 degrees, where that Uranus-Jupiter connect. The Sabian symbol says it is a beautiful, vast public park. And the keynote is the cultivation of natural energies for collective use and recreation. And this is focusing on emotional, cultural values as we witness the positive and impressive results of man's collective endeavors to live in peace and to enjoy moments of relaxation. That sounds nice. And this public park is being designed and kept for the enjoyment of the people in the city. And this is a symbol of collective enjoyment, good times ahead. And this individual brings a feeling of belonging. Whew, doesn't that sound nice? A feeling of belonging for a large, organized, peaceful, whole community. I just got to read that again. This individual, Kamala Harris, brings a feeling of belonging to a large, organized, peaceful, whole community. Could Kamala Harris, as this spiritual leader, bring us out of our divisive state of being into a world of true belonging, wholeness, community? Whew. That is a public park I want to go to, and I want to live in that park. That is just beautiful, belonging. That's what our world really needs. I was so inspired just looking at all these aspects. And one date that really popped in my mind was when I was looking at all the things that are going to happen to Kamala Harris according to her chart. I was doing lots of transit readings, and I just try to pick out the most juicy things I see. But I'm going to put a gold star on my calendar to watch for August, the week of August 7th. When Jupiter is in a rare SESQUIQUADRATE. That's a wordful. SESQUIQUADRATE. This is a little more obscure astrology. Maybe you've not heard that term. Jupiter SESQUIQUADRATE Pluto, meaning they are separated by just 1.5 quadrants. I'll put a chart over here. And in the zodiac wheel, when you're separated by 1.5 quadrants, they call this a SESQUIQUADRATE. And Jupiter will expand Pluto. And Pluto is transformational power, right? Mark your calendar. Something is going to happen around that time. It might be a challenging situation. Sometimes these SESQUIQUADRATEs, they can be a little bit challenging, kind of like squares. And there could be a crisis wherein Kamala may instantly need to rise to power, to become empowered, to take care of a situation, a crisis. Something forces her to step into the limelight. I think we're going to be hearing from Kamala August 7th. And she is such a persuasive speaker, and she makes personally meaningful impact on our world during this Jupiter SESQUIQUADRATE Pluto. That will she be debating some other vice president candidate that week? Maybe like J.D. Vance. I'm hearing words that she might be debating J.D. Vance as a Trump possible VP. Trump hasn't even picked his VP yet. Come on, guy. I don't even know who his VP will be, but she may just be debating somebody on this August 7th week, and she will rise to any challenge. She will succeed. She will manifest her. She will just be showing her true colors now and her true heart. And Venus has her back. And we'll talk about Venus more soon. But Jupiter will be still crossing in close range to Kamala's Ascendant in Gemini. Also giving her that empowerment, that light, that step into your power. Show the world who you are. Rising's first house is always who you are. When Jupiter crosses your rising, it's like show the world, expand who you are, show your power. And she will be letting us know on the week of August 7th what a magnificent leader she is and who will make. She is the one who will make a meaningful impact for change in our world, change for the better, the change we need. She is bringing it on that week especially. And then she's got, after that, she will have a Jupiter square Pluto, giving her an expansion of power that will also come with some kind of trials and tribulations. Squares are always those trials and tribulations, but this influence gives her this deep resolve to achieve greatness, and her energies will carry her higher and farther than usual as she strives for power. Despite resistance, there's so much resistance to her. And is it really resistance to her, or is it just resistance to women rising in power? And Venus, the divine feminine energy, Venus continues on her star pattern, saying the divine feminine energy, women in power are rising. And that resistance will only fuel her flame of passion to rise. So it's going to be really interesting come August, I tell you. And she has this Pluto square Mercury happening really all year from February 2024 through December 2025. As Pluto is retrograde right now and goes over this exact square point 4 times this year. This is a transit that is seen in some of the most brilliant minds of our lifetime, including Coretta Scott King, Martin Luther King's genius wife, who said, "The greatness of community is most accurately measured by the compassionate action of its members. A heart of grace and a soul generated by love." That is Coretta Scott. She is like amazing. She has made so many beautiful quotes of her own right. She's not as famous as her husband Martin Luther King, but she was a wordsmith, and so is Kamala Harris right now. And as well as Elsie Wheeler, who I just absolutely love, the mystic who created the Sabian symbols. And talk about somebody who really knows their words. I love the words that come from these Sabian symbols that always have so much meaning for exactly when you need to hear it. And George Lucas, who brought us Star Wars, also has Pluto square Mercury. So you can see she is under the influence of this transit that just makes her so innovative, so future-oriented. This is going to help her transcend the ordinary and really brings us into an extraordinary way of thinking that Kamala Harris will be tapping into. it's like she's channeling a higher divine mind, or she's channeling from the universe and bringing it to us in these beautiful messages that we will be hearing all year from Kamala if you pay attention. And this transit allows Kamala Harris to have keen insight during this election. She will have almost a supernatural knowing. And that supernatural knowing is her superpower. She knows what's happening beyond what's happening, you know? Squares can bring challenges, those diamond making challenges, but there's always a gift if you can see past the bullshit. And so within the experience, if you look closely, so this might be a trying time for Kamala. She may have resistance. She may have some sticky situations, but within that situation is the gift of transformation, Pluto transformation, that leads to great power. Pluto rules power, and it comes through her communication with that Mercury square. And she has excellent communication with that Gemini rising. This girl knows how to talk herself out of a room. She can debate. I can't wait to see her debate. And she was born with a Libra sun and an Aries moon, both at 27 degrees. When you see sun and moon at the same degree, you know it's a new moon. And she is an old soul with that late 27 degrees. Whenever people have late degrees in a sign, like 27 to 29, I know we're working with an old soul. And both her sun and moon are being directly impacted by that powerful Aries Libra nodal axis, bringing in that 2024 great American solar eclipse that we just had in April. Maybe you saw it, maybe you felt it. It was a big one. It went right across America, saying America's going to come into a big change. And I think that big change is Kamala Harris, because she is right aligned with it. Sun and moon, Libra, Aries. Can it get even more aligned to the eclipse? And this is bringing big changes for Kamala all year. And Aries is asking her to step into her power, to become the powerful spiritual warrior that she is. And Libra brings her this balance and harmony and peace. So that is really incredible that she is so aligned to the times. That would be that's my key phrase. Kamala Harris is aligned to the times. And that Libra sun in her 5th house, Libra ruled by the planet Venus. Venus just keeps showing up, shining that Venus sparkling light. And Venus will be coming in so strong for this election, as Venus just reached her main star point as she rises now as the evening star, where she's in her full power glory. We'll be able to see her just after sunset soon. And Venus will be in her most powerful star alignment February 2025, just after the president is sworn in to lead for the next 4 years. And Venus favors Kamala to be our first president. I saw this over and over again in her chart, and I'm going to talk about Venus a little more as we go along. But right now I want to talk about her Libra sun. Libra is the scales of justice that ultimately brings our world back into balance. Kamala, being a Libra, is a natural born peacekeeper, negotiator, and caregiver. Ruled by Venus, she's ruled by the heart. And found in this 5th house, she is born to lead. And she is a woman who can rule from a place of justice, peace, harmony, and ultimately love. And I just want to read the Sabian symbol for her 27 degrees, Sun in Libra. And these Sabian symbols, read by Elsie Wheeler, were written at such a long time ago when we had a little bit more of a sexist language. So everything is like man, the man will do, the man will. So I just changed out the wording to say woman, since we're talking about a woman. And she is a woman becoming aware of spiritual forces surrounding and assisting her. And the keynote is the realization at any level of existence that one is never alone, and that the community, visible or invisible, is sustaining one's efforts. That is so beautiful. And every organism is part of this larger organized whole. Whether or not one is aware of this, as an individual expands consciousness, they may become aware of a spiritual community, a pure light coming from the supermind, a white lodge of spirits who rules over man and nature alike. And this is a place of great goodness, which could be accessed through strong feelings of love. And this is a transcendence of the world of conflicts, and for a moment at least, an experience of the oneness of all existence, a realization of belonging to a greater whole that produces a state of inner assurance. Oh my gosh, I love this so much. I have to read the last part again. An experience of the oneness of all existence, a realization of belonging to a greater whole that produces a state of inner assurance. Once again, we see the words belonging and wholeness coming up again and again in her Sabian symbols. I think that's so beautiful. She could bring our world into a state of belonging and wholeness. I think that is beautiful. Beautiful Sabian symbol for her sun sign. And she also has this triple threat conjunction of Uranus, Pluto, and Venus in Virgo in her 4th house of home and motherhood. And she was raised by such a powerful mother who taught her to be powerful too. And that 4th house Venus, she is that divine feminine mother energy that we need right now. She was so right for these times. She's so passionate, determined, and organized. These planets in Virgo, she is solid, secure, salt of the earth, dependable. I love Virgos. I love earth signs. Venus in the fourth house just loves everyone like a mother does. She's like a mother to everyone. And she is somebody who could feed the world, because that's what a mother does. A mother feeds the world. So I feel like we would have a bounty of food and crops and resources with her. And I have Venus in 4th house, and I love to care for people too. And our worst trait, Venus in 4th house, might just be rescuing people and animals. But it's always done out of this deep love and compassion. And Kamala is this caregiver who could rescue our world. I really do believe it. Kamala could rescue our broken world and heal it like only a divine mother healer, spiritual leader could. And I'm so ready for a woman to lead. How about you? And her Venus conjunct Pluto, she will transform our world through the power of love. Venus is love. Venus is love and money. So maybe she will transform our world through the power of love and bring money. And Venus conjunct Uranus, she is the ultimate freedom fighter. She will come into power through sudden, shocking events. Doesn't it just feel like that? It'll be a sudden, shocking event. That's what Uranus is known for. Lightning strikes, and boom, she becomes our president. Just like that. And Pluto conjunct Uranus, she will bring about revolutionary change. She is the right person to lead the younger generations of millennials and Gen Zs who have some really strong Pluto conjunct the Galactic Center. And she is that divine mother birthing in this massive energetic shift into this new paradigm through a higher vibrational mother's love kind of energy. She, again and again, I'm going to say she's so right for the times. And all of these planets in her 4th house are in a beneficial trine to Jupiter in Taurus that is in her 12th house. And I just think of the REM song, it's the end of the world as we know it. But that's not a bad thing. 12th houses is about endings. And it's really just that the old ways are dying off. It's the end of the world as we know it because a new world is being ushered in by her beautiful divine mother, divine feminine energy. And the old ways are dying off. And here Kamala becomes this hospice death doula to allow the old world, the old ways to die off. She stands by and support as the old world crosses over that 12th house. And now we can birth in this new world. She is the wise gatekeeper. Being born in the 12th house, it's like you're a gatekeeper between what was and what will become. And as that wise gatekeeper, she is living out the most important role for our survival as this incredible spiritual leader when she comes into power, as I truly believe she will. And her Virgo stellium of planets are in opposition with Neptune in Pisces, which can cause a little bit of confusion, delusion, and that Alice in Wonderland altered reality that so many of us born with Pluto in Virgo are experiencing right now. If you were born between 1956 to 1973, you're dealing with this Neptune-Pluto opposition transit too. And I'm going to do a separate transit on this because there is a deep transformation happening in the psyche of everybody born in 1956 to 1972. I guess I'm talking to Generation X. That's what I am, Generation X. There's a kind of spiritual state of disillusionment that may lead us to a higher enlightenment if we're blessed, or maybe it'll just become apathy if we're lazy. Because so many of us born between 1956 to 1972 having this Pluto in Virgo opposite Neptune in Pisces, we are just kind of disconnecting entirely from the 3D reality and kind of taking a wait and see approach to life and letting go of anything that is not serving our divine purpose. And it's a magical transit, but we might seem like we've lost our minds to some of the other generations, and it's like we're seeing past the veil of reality and we're just not getting caught up in the drama of everything that's going on because it's all make-believe and none of it really matters except for your own peace of mind at the end of the day. And so Kamala is under this influence too. She's born right in that Pluto Virgo time, but she seems to be actively doing something to bring about a greater change, which I appreciate. She's got a lot of ambition, probably because she has a powerful Mars in Leo in the 3rd house. Mars ambition burns brightest in those fire signs like Leo, Aries, and Sagittarius. And she's such a charismatic speaker. Her ambition comes from her Regulus, heart of the lion, heart of Leo constellation, where her Mars is in the cosmos. Her Mars is right there aligned with that Regulus, heart of the gold, heart of gold, heart of the lion. This is, her heart is pure gold. And she speaks from her heart, and you can trust her heart. And she really listens to people, and she really cares. And Regulus is giving her that regal royalty power too. She is a divine spiritual queen. She will rise to great power, if not now, then soon. And she is aligned to be our first female president. She will feel right at home in this role with Mars so close to Regulus, this powerhouse triple star. It shines white and blue for Kamala, and Mars is bringing the red. So she's got that red, white, and blue shining on her from the cosmos, granting her great authority, success. She has a fondness for power and authority that combines her love of tolerance, compassion, and her liberal views. She is high-spirited, independent. She will truly rule from the heart of the lioness. Like a mother lion defending her cubs, she will protect our world like a great protector goddess. It's so comforting to think of her in power, protecting us all. And then she has the Galactic Center, conjunct descendant, and her south node in Sagittarius. She serves this new paradigm. That Galactic Center is coming in so strong on this summer solstice, as I just read in the summer solstice report. And she leads us into new systems of living organically in balance with Gaia. And she will bring new ways of resolving conflicts peacefully in a spirit of cooperation with others, with trust and unity. And astrologically, our whole world is going through a profound shift caused by this grand processional cross that has the Galactic Center at its heart. This is our current state of evolution astrologically. And Earth is entering an era of greater unity based on the higher expression of the two forces of creation, the feminine and the masculine energies, the yin and the yang. And this is a precarious time that requires balance of those divine energies. And who better to bring balance to our masculine and feminine energies than a Libra, right? Libra with Galactic Center right there on the midheaven. She is the divine feminine leader that Venus is calling forth, and I hope she does become our president somehow, some way, because I believe in miracles. And on election day, Venus, who I just keep talking about, Venus is going to choose who becomes president. Venus will be at 22 degrees of Sagittarius near her descendant, crossing over that Galactic Center. And Kamala has her love light turned on for this election, and she will let it shine, shine, shine. This November, Venus on her descendant, on the Galactic Center. Venus crossing the Galactic Center. She is harnessing all of the divine feminine energy of our universe into a major victory for our collective awakening as a spiritual mother goddess leader. She will rise to power as a spiritual leader, and her win, even if it's just VP, even if she's not the female president, but even as VP, her win means so much more this time. She's got it, you know, she's got it. I think of the lyrics to the Venus song, she's got it. Yeah, baby, she's got it. I know she's gonna I know that Biden and Kamala are in good hands and they're going to win with when I look at this Venus on the descendant. And someone else I think of with Venus on the descendant is Muhammad Ali, the boxer, Muhammad Ali. He said, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. And ultimately, if you know the story of Muhammad Ali, he was a fighter for love. And he was truly a lover, not a fighter, a deeply spiritual, enlightened man. And so that galactic center on the descendant is just a sign of this enlightened being of pure love. And Kamala Harris also has Chiron in Pisces at 14 degrees in her 10th house of career and what she does. Ultimately, she is a healer. Chiron is the healer. Chiron is the centaur healer. I talk about Chiron all the time. If you watch my channel, you know Chiron. And her Chiron will be activated by the partial lunar eclipse we're having in September 17th, 2024. And that will be at 25 degrees of Pisces, really in close, pretty close conjunction to her Chiron in Pisces. And we will move into Pisces Virgo nodal axis next, going into 2025, where Kamala will reign well as that Pisces Virgo axis lights up her 4th house and 10th house. Her divine purpose will be ignited with that stellium she has in Virgo and that Chiron in Pisces. She is really born to lead in 2025. And I also want to just touch briefly on her 9-star key. Maybe I'll do a whole separate 9-star key reading because it's a lot to unpack. But she is a 9 fire star, known as the lover, ruled by the heart. She is a force of nature. And in 2024, she's in a 2 earth year where she is a sprout pushing upward. Through heavy soil, she will rise to reach the sun, to be inspired. And 2025, she will be a 3 warrior star. There's so many mystics saying that it will be a spiritual warrior that is ruling over our country in 2025. And she will be in the sign of the warrior in 2025 when she comes to power. And she will be that spiritual warrior that we need so bad in our world, I do believe. And there's just so many transits I'm not going to get to today because this is going on so long. I really want to cover Saturn, the Lord of Karma and spiritual teacher in Pisces, which is in opposition with her Venus stellium of Venus, Uranus, and Pluto in Virgo. And that is a big deal. And that is something I'm going to possibly unpack later in another transit because I got to get to work today. But I might need to do a second Kamala reading. If you want to know more about Kamala Harris, leave a comment down below and let me know. And I will cover that next time. And I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.